for you.
Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. I'm one of your co-hosts tonight. I'm Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and I am joined by my good friend,
the heavyweight champion of the Big B McFly, the comic guy,
aka the heavyweight champion of the world. What is up, everybody? Thanks for joining us tonight. We have a great show, lots of awesome topics, lots of updates about important things, a lot of community art that came in. We have a couple of important community announcements that I'd like to make. One especially, I want to draw some attention to a big cause that's going on right now. Lots of cool comic book news. We're going to go over the community art winners and just that huge batch of community art we got. Plus our main topic at the end of the show, the last kind of big segment of the show, is going to be our favorite G.I. Joe stories, which I know a lot of you were hyped about. Big B was out there making posts and getting everybody excited for that. And everybody seemed to be pretty excited to hear us talk about that tonight. So we've got lots of cool stuff to talk about. We should get right to it, huh?
Yeah, we should do that.
Sweet. But first, before we get right to it, we do have to point out there has been a changing of the guard. Richard came in here, staked a big old American flag with Richard Westfall written on it, which is, maybe questionable, but hey, that's fine. It's what he does, right? And he staked it in the ground and he said first. Just like the internet intended.
Unfortunately, I was laying there trying to get a tan, and it was really messy.
And that's what you get for messing with the heavyweight champion of the world. So, the bout's scheduled for next week. It's going to be a big one. he's also second and third and fourth. Dude.
Wow.
GTK Comic comes in and claims that there is going to be some shenanigans with a wrench blocking him. No one. I definitely didn't block you. I actually, if you're here in the chat and you prove that you actually watch the show, which I love if you just watch on the rewind, but if you're actually in the chats, I'll make you a wrench, man. Don't worry. I'll make you a wrench. So that can never happen to you again. You know what? YouTube shenanigans. That's what I'll say. GTK Comic.
Hey, that's a really great icon he has, though, because that's one of my books.
Yeah, well, and it's one of mine as well. That's one of the ones we have in common, so that's awesome. Yeah, so they made up in the chat, by the way. I'm playing this up for the clicks and the YouTube drama, but no, they're all good. They're all good. Let's see. We got Chaos Prime is in the house. What's up? Well, I'm feeling good today, man. It's actually been a good day for me. I know yours was kind of busy, right?
Chilly and long, and yeah,
chilly and long, just like she likes it. So
yeah, okay,
yep. She being an ice demon apparently. Hollyhock Comics is in the house. You're just about to go to bed, but now you got to stay high and you got to stick around and watch part of the show, and then you can watch the rest on the rewind. But there we go.
I appreciate you, buddy.
So Richard says he just got off another YouTube channel and a question got brought up. Are origin stories really necessary now, as most people are familiar with superhero characters? Now, origin stories in general or origin stories in films, Richard? I'd love a follow-up on that. Because I could see the film thing being, something that we talk about. But you could also say, like, a new version of a comic book doesn't need a new origin story or something like that too. That might be a good topic for us to discuss. So I'm going to try to remember to put that one in we have a list of show topics. Brian Bigby, for those that don't know, went nuts and
rattled off a big
huge list. Yeah, it was very. In fact, tonight's topic came from that list. So shout out. We got Leonard in here who's clowning the place up. I don't know, man. I don't know how to read into that one, Leonard, but we welcome you to the show either way.
He says,
welcome, Collector P, and got Jane here, of course. First on the EXP chat. I love it.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, I think Unmasking is not on my list. It's what we'll automatically throw it in the honorable mentions because I don't see it on Big B's list and it's not on mine. So
I have like some storylines also that like were spanned like lots of issues that I wanted to talk about. So I'm making notes about that too. So
perfect. Leonard comes back with a Yo Joe, so we know that we're good to go there. Chaos Prime says, for my entire thousands of years, I have never known about G.I. Joe, but there's a show and everything, but I never know. Well, never too late to start. Never too late to start.
You're young, but there's a lot to watch. So
yeah. And new comic books. I mean, that's the thing, right? New comic books, Energon universe over at Skybound.
Which is tied in with Transformers, which I know Chaos Prime likes Transformers. So
exactly. Shout out to Buddy. Buddy, welcome to the show. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying warm. Same for everybody. A lot of people are in the grips of cold, bad weather, and all kinds of stuff. And yeah. What's up, Kamikaze? Let alone fires and all that, which we'll get to kind of in a second here. Destro and Baroness are a better couple than Joker and Harley. Actually, you know what? In kind of the current context, I think I kind of agree with that. Because I can't really see Harley getting back together with Joker. And I think she's been apart from Joker longer than she was with Joker at this point. At least in the comics, probably not if you add the show into, but and we got Christina in the house. What's up, Christina? Hello, thanks for being here. Speaking of awesome wrenches, all right, well that's fair. I hope you do catch us on the rewind. Go ahead and leave us a comment after you watch, and
tell us your favorite books after the rewind, or which ones you're going to pick up.
100% GT Key, 100%. I expanded a little bit beyond that. Yeah, true. That's true. I definitely separate the Marvel stuff from the later stuff, though. It just feels a little different, but might go to TFCon this year, so that's Transformers Con, I assume. It's possible. That's cool, man. Congratulations.
I wish
congratulations. Yeah. Dracula. We have that community favorite artist, or at least one of them, in the house,
duking it out up there.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second. But Dracula's cleaning up, at least on his side of the bracket. Hey, Larissa, nice to see you. You got the Skybound G.I. Joe compendium. Oh, the compendium. Yeah, I just saw that at Barnes & Noble. I was at Barnes & Noble and was kind of thumbing through it. It's really cool. I like the paper.
What's that run?
I think it was 70, maybe. I don't remember the price because I wasn't really seriously looking to buy it. So I think there's 2 or 3. I can't remember if there's 2 or 3. So it's like, I think it's like 50 for the first one, and then I think it's like, I could have it completely wrong. I'm sure Larissa will correct us here in a second.
Well, there's a lot of stuff they could put in there too to make it like 150 plus issues, right? I mean,
well, so I think it has 155 issues of the original Marvel run. And I believe it has the G.I. Joe versus Transformers Marvel stuff, and I think like the special missions too, but I might be wrong about that.
Let's say special missions in the yearbooks.
Yeah, I think the yearbooks. It's maybe the Order of Battle too. It's got quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, Order of Battle is kind of weird. It's kind of like almost like Marvel Universe. So
yeah, I loved those when I was a kid. The covers are gorgeous too.
Yeah,
wraparound covers. Remember to She-Hulk smash the thumbs up, Christina says. Yeah, on the Kickstarter, it was like 80 each, but they're actually in stores now. So I know GameStop stores have them. That's hit or miss, depends on your GameStop. Barnes and Noble, definitely was stocked up. They had some at that location. But speaking of Awesome Sauce, who's in the chat, so I won't spend forever talking about this, but Awesome Sauce had a fun week. He was at AVN, which is the the adult video national. I don't even know what the N stands for. Not network.
Maybe network.
Yeah, but it's like the adult expo, basically.
Nominations? Is it like a awards thing?
It is an awards thing, so maybe nominations would make sense. Maybe Adam will let us know. But he was down there, and he actually got he talked to a bunch of starlets and stuff like that. And you go check out his profile on Instagram if you want to check all that stuff out. He actually got Angela White, who's a pretty prominent actress in that field, to do a little shout out for me, which was really awesome. Sweet. The best part is, she's nice enough to say hi to me as my name. Adam was awesome enough to do that. And then he says something about my name being Bronze Age Nerd. You can see the look on her face, like, what does that mean? This is great. But she looked like she was super awesome, and I think he had an amazing time down there. I know he was asking for Mad Dog 2020 at bars. He told me, and I told him you might have better luck at a convenience store. Right. Yeah, it's the San Diego Comic-Con of Adult Entertainment. It does stand for network. Oh, that's right, because there used to be a network. Okay. Or maybe there's still.
Chaos Prime says he's so close to 100 subscribers. So if you guys want to go over there,
hey, there you go.
Sub him up.
Go sub up Chaos Prime if you're looking for a channel. Does Chaos Prime have Transformers content? I remember I went and subbed him up.
Yes, some Transformers and Godzilla stuff.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Yep.
There we go. That's really fun. So one thing I really want to talk about, speaking of people doing amazing and awesome things in the community, I'm going to paste in a link to Josh Comic Books Instagram. And I'm going to share the screen real fast. So he ran a fundraising effort, kind of a little similar to what we do for Heroes, only on a much more massive scale. And he was doing it for the fire relief in California. And he's just, I tuned into parts of the stream. I bid on a few things. I was really hoping to win some stuff, to try to help out. But things were kind of jumping out of my price range. Just finances weren't in line with what I needed to do. But he actually was nice enough to go by and thank me just for popping in, which was like, he streamed for, kind of like we did for Heroes. He streamed for, I think, like 10 or 12 hours or more.
Right.
Maybe, I'm not even sure. They raised over $70,000 so far.
That's crazy.
A lot of it hasn't been donated because if it's more than $5,000, they have to mail in a check. And so it hasn't arrived to the charity yet. Little caveat, something might fall through for some people or something like that. But his new goal is now $90,000. And I'm bringing this up and I'm pasting the link to his profile because he's going to be auctioning some stuff off like on the page. He was telling me that in chat. Let me make sure I get that right. He's auctioning off books and art on his page all week. It was stuff that he didn't find a home for, or some new things that were just donated. And there is on his page, he said there's a donation link. Oh, yeah, it's right here on if you click on like his profile, like his live status thing. He's raising money for the relief of the fires in California, which he was personally affected by the way. And I think he had to evacuate and everything. I don't know. I actually don't know if he was able to return. I assume he was. I didn't want to bug him with a detail like that, but he was streaming, so I'm pretty sure he was at his home. But yeah, so definitely, there's maybe if you're on mobile, that pops up a little bit better, but there's the California Fire Foundation link there. He's doing the great work, and I just really wanted to take a second to call that out.
That's awesome.
He did a big shout out for us for Heroes. He's obviously somebody who cares about doing good in the community, and obviously we respect that. So huge shout out to Josh Comic Books.
Yeah.
Good work he's doing. Yep. Say no to, and hey, he's a say no to FOMO brothers in arm. brother in arms over there. So, and by the way, Derek, hello. I did not see you sneak in there, but I do see you now. Just want to make sure I give you a chance to say hello. And we got Pastor Michael. What's up? How's it going?
You see his quote up there at the top, or closer up to there where it's sort of Marvel's Transformers #3.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. Favorite G.I. Joe, so technically Joe's or the Marvel proper, which would put them under Shield control. Yeah, it's actually God, well, I just heard a story about that too. I wish I could remember. I just heard a story about that issue about why they got Spider-Man. And I got a hair in my mouth. So occupational hazard of having a beard, folks. There was some story I just heard about that too. I wish I could recall it. About how I think they didn't want to let them use Spider-Man, but they kind of made a push for it. Anyways, I'll try to remember and post it up somewhere if I find the link to the short or whatever I saw.
It's one of the early Joe issues where they come out of like a sewer system or something, and then Scarlet runs into the Hulk. She's like, "What the Hulk?" And it's a comic convention.
It's really cool how there's like those like, you know, and this is something we're going to talk about in a future episode, but like those kind of like toy and what am I looking for? Property license tie-ins that Marvel had during some of the 80s, especially, and some of the 90s too, of course. Some of those are just so special. Some of those moments are so cool. Absolutely love seeing that kind of stuff. So the next thing I got to do is I got to update everybody on where we're at for the bracket. This is our bracket for can I hide that part? Makes it a little bit better. You can kind of see the end of the bracket here. I think, yeah, that's what I did last time and then zoomed in. There we go. So for the previous round, we had Actual Dracula finalized his win over Eddie Rodriguez, and Colossus Collector finalized his victory over CJ Design. So in the current round, and this is on my Instagram profile right now, we have Actual Dracula versus Colossus Collectors. Colossus Collector, Ryan. Don't know why I decided to pluralize his name, but there we go. And then on the other side of the bracket, we've got Scott and Norin Rad. Norin Rad took down Scott Hasselwood. It's now, oh boy, Rad Art and Comics, I believe is his new profile name, but I'm sort of keep referring to him as Norin Rad because that's, I think most people know him as that.
Right.
And then, yes, this was the upset. Good point, Richard.
Yeah.
Roscoe somehow took down Roy Thomas. I know, yeah, it's a weird one. Hopefully this year we'll have an even number of combatants in the the community art. I use that term loosely because it's definitely not like supposed to be like a competition in that way. But we have Norin Rad and Roscoe duking it out. So that these are real slugfests here, folks. Like it's getting close. And I told Big B a prediction that I had for who the finalists were going to be a couple rounds ago, and I feel like it's going to shake out that way. I won't say who because I don't want to like try to influence the voting. This is all you guys voting, you guys and gals out there who are voting. But yeah, Actual Dracula, Colossus Collector, Norin Rad, and Roscoe. So we're down to our semifinalists, just like the NFL weekend that just happened. We got our semifinalists, and we're going to see who goes to the Super Bowl of Best Coast Community Art. So you have until Friday to get those votes in, and then I'll get the finalists up, and we'll be able to talk about that next week. So that'll be really fun. But go out and vote, and I definitely want to see how everybody's doing. Looks like people are getting excited about it, which is really cool.
Yeah, people are making comments like, "Man, this is getting hard."
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the community did not make these decisions easy. Exactly. Leonard says, wasn't the original G.I. Joe pitch supposed to be Nick Fury Jr. or something? I hadn't heard that one. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I could see that some Howling Commandos DNA kind of ending up in there.
Yeah, that could be cool. But
yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'd love to know. I did, yeah, on my bracket I had Roy Thomas in the final.
That's right.
And to be clear, it's Roy Thomas as the creator of Wolverine specifically, not just Roy Thomas the person. It's Roy Thomas as the creator of Wolverine that he was fighting. But yeah, I will say this much, based on what we're seeing here, we've seen a ton of submissions for community artwork. come up. So we have a bunch of it to share a little bit later in the show.
Yeah.
So I hope we keep that pace up. I mean, I said at the beginning of the year, I hope we see more community artwork submissions. You can share one piece of art a week and we'll feature it. I mean, so from now to the end of the year, you could feature one a week if you wanted to. So get those sent in and we'll show them. I think I have like 7 or 8 submissions this week to show, and that's individual people. So that's pretty awesome. And I'm excited about it. One we can't show, unfortunately. I'll try to show it off on my Discord, but we agreed it was a little too spicy. So we're going to save that one for Discord. Hopefully that person understands. It was Headless Hammerhead too. I'll say who it was. He did a good job. It's good art.
No, good art. It was just like
on the line.
Yeah.
Market zero. Done. Over the line. With that said, I'm gonna go. No, yeah, it's after hours. But if I was just streaming on my channel, I'd probably show it. But the problem is we kind of have a Big B X23 pants situation on the art. Is really what it is. Where without the coloring being completed on the art, it looks a little bit like Ghost Spider's not wearing all her clothes, even though she is wearing her suit. It sort of looks like she's not.
Right.
So
I love that you said this looks like a pants situation. I knew exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah, the community artwork, man, I'm just really happy to see everybody submitting it. It makes me super happy, and hopefully we get more submissions this year. And I can't wait to send out a prize package to the winner. I know Big B and I have been talking about it. Join the Discord and you can see it there, CJ. That's where you can see it. Speaking of showing it, though, CJ, you're a mod. Do you want to post the link to your Kickstarter? I know you got a Kickstarter going on right now, and should definitely be able to show that off for you. So feel free to paste that in if you want to. Yeah, and I think you guys probably know I do some artwork that's on that side too. It's just, and some of it I could probably even show on Instagram or something like that, but just not on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into the news section here a little bit. Ooh, Richard beat him to it. So there's the Shift Kickstarter that Comic Journey and a few other members of the community worked on. It's a pretty cool concept. It's like a story being told by multiple artists, and kind of interpreted by multiple artists, and then that's woven into the narrative of the comic book. Hopefully I did that justice and kind of spoke to that half intelligently. But yeah, it looks like a really cool book, so I definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah,
there you go. So our first news story is about 2025 Topps Finest. It's an X-Men 97 set, which I don't know, like maybe this is a huge story to some people, maybe it's not, but we talked about X-Men 97 a ton. And I absolutely, I love these kind of newer cards they're doing. I've been a fan of a lot of them. Not sure that that's my favorite, piece they could have chose to show off, but they are going to have. I mean, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just I wanted to kind of see maybe some more examples of the cards, I guess is really what I meant. But they are going to have some voice actor autographs, which is really cool. One-of-one sketch cards, very neat. Children of the Atom die cuts. I don't know what SSP. I should know what that means, but I don't.
Super short print.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm not a card guy primarily. I just enjoy them. Also, Sentinel Scan Shadow Box short print. So previously on X-Men, Finest, Greatest Hits, and Remember It. I mean, that's cool. So this is gonna be fun. I think this is gonna be cool. I don't know how much a box costs yet. When I posted this, these got announced. Like there were like forums that cover the stuff that we're talking about. Like we don't know any details. So I don't know if anything's come out since I originally.
I like the retro look of the box too. It looks pretty cool.
What's that?
I like the retro look of the box.
Oh yeah, it very much evokes the like the Jim Lee X-Men series. In like the blue
floating
background.
head over there. You got the little the corner box.
Totally, 100%. Totally. And hey, we got No Good Comics in the house too. What's up, No
Justin? What's up?
Terry says cards are too expensive for my blood these days. Yeah, if they, I don't know if they have a, I don't know if it's a hobby box or whatever, but do they sell like just complete sets? Like, can you like without the special cards? Can you just buy a box?
Usually after the set comes out, you can buy complete sets for fairly cheap because people are just chasing the inserts. Yeah,
but I didn't know if they offered like a complete base set kind of box where you're guaranteed to get one or
Yeah,
something.
they used to do like box sets of like the sets of sports,
Yeah.
with no chase cards or anything in it at the end of the year. So
Yeah, I gotcha.
who knows?
I don't know enough about it, but yeah, probably. Yeah, you're probably right, Terry. You're probably right. But hey, you get some of those sweet Jubilee cards in there. That's the difference.
Still love it, that icon. I got to know where that came from.
Did he not say last week? I thought he did. Maybe I'm
Did
wrong.
he say whose art it was? Maybe
I
just
thought he
brain
did.
dead.
He definitely he confirmed it was Jubilee, but
well, yes.
Which is obvious. Let's see, what else do we got? We have probably our first. Actually, you know what we have is we should have a moment to talk about one of the shows coming up on the EXP tomorrow. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that before I move on to the next news story, because then I'll throw off my entire schedule. Tomorrow at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, that would be 5 Pacific. You can watch Minute to Skim It. It's a show you've heard me talk about before. A show you've heard Big B talk about before. But if you want to know what's coming out on Wednesday, then you want to get a nice, cross section of the comic books that are coming out, and a little bit of a short review. The Minute to Skim It is kind of where that comes from. They kind of quickly look through the books and they quickly talk about them. Get a quick review of the art and the story and see if it's any good. It's a great show. I highly recommend checking it out. Our producer on this show, Jay, is actually one of the hosts of that. And you can also check out my old co-host, Kyle from Devil's Advocates, is on there as well, and Miss Jen from Space Cadet Comics. So highly recommend checking out that show. That's tomorrow on the EXP at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, and 5 p.m. Pacific. So go check that out.
All of X #3, Mark Brooks 1/50. Okay.
That's right. Yeah, I knew he mentioned Mark Brooks.
Yeah,
that's such a cool cover. Cool art. I haven't actually seen the cover, but there you go. If that's on it, it's cool. If Jeff Johns had a brother that ran a deli and was also friends with Superman, would that make him Jimmy Johns? I mean, it depends on the deli name and if they have the franchise rights.
Maybe if Jimmy Olsen was adopted by Martian Manhunter.
There you go.
Jimmy Johns.
There you go.
Because he's John Johns.
Or if Jeff Johns adopted Jimmy Olsen. Well, there you go.
I'm trying to make comic characters,
yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it's more fun when the comic characters cross over into real life. Anything I can do to get a chance to meet a real life rogue. Our next story, this is kind of just a quick one. I thought this was pretty cool. There's a new Ghostbusters comic book coming out, and I think, to me, most weeks I may not have talked about this too long or brought it up, but I wanted to talk about it because it reminds me a lot of reading G.I. Joe comic books when I was a kid, because I read the real Ghostbusters comics when I was a kid.
Right.
They're also, I don't think, I'm certain I'm wrong about this, but I don't recall, especially not back then, I don't recall there being a Ghostbusters comic book that wasn't based on the cartoon, which is slightly different than the movies, of course, in some key ways. But they probably did one in the 2000s or 2010s or something, but not, I don't think, back in the day. But yeah, it's a new comic book coming from Dark Horse Comics. It's called Ghostbusters Dead Man's Chest. David M. Boer is the writer. Let's see, you got Aviv Orr as the artist. That's pretty neat. You can see the cover there. I think it's cool. It's going to feature some of the newer continuity. Cool. What's that?
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Ghost Pirates. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, man. It's going to feature the newer continuity and newer characters, from the last couple movies, Afterlife and Frozen Empire. I think that was the last one.
Right.
Which I enjoyed. Afterlife. Frozen Empire, yeah, it was all right.
There were some good parts in it, but
there definitely was some good parts. But I just think it's cool, and it really reminds me of reading G.I. Joe comic books, and kind of, we were talking about that a little bit earlier, just those licensed comics that that wasn't Marvel, that was Now Comics or whatever back then, but still, it was fun.
Got our first Sydney Sweeney comment in there.
David lost his home due to the fire right before he had surgery. Wow.
Oh, geez.
That's terrible. That is terrible. Yeah, absolutely. They did have to rub it in your face with a diamond bankruptcy. Just like, yeah, you might be interested in this, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Dark Horse is one of those companies that was pretty affected by that. So, if it has a gorilla wearing a propeller hat, I am so in. Sydney Sweeney would make a great rogue. Man, I saw a post. It was a total BS rumor, and I cannot remember the artist's name. She's a singer and an actress. I think she's primarily a singer, but it was. I saw a picture of her and just spot on rogue. I don't know if she's a good actress.
Was that in our Council of X chat?
No, maybe I did post it over there. But maybe. I don't think it's like any way legit. I think it's just like a fun rumor kind of thing. And then there was a new rumor about a new Storm casting, which I can't remember the actress's name from that either, because I'm terrible with actress names and actors for that matter. But the actress from The Bear who plays the sous chef, I cannot remember her name, but yeah, there's a casting rumor that she's favorited for doing that.
So I've been going back and doing like some short clips from old conventions that were different conventions we were at last year.
Yeah.
And Tom Morris, I didn't even notice when I originally did it. He had a Sydney Sweeney Harley Quinn piece in his portfolio when I did. So yeah, you got to watch the Tom Morris short. He's like, and this is my pick for Harley Quinn. This is Sydney Sweeney as Harley Quinn. I was like, did a double take when I was watching the video. I'm like, whoa.
By the way, he has an awesome portfolio. So yeah. Oh boy, I'm gonna butcher their Ayo Edebiri.
Edebiri.
I'm pretty sure that's what I'm talking about. I don't know a lot of newer actors' names, unfortunately. I just never bother memorize them. But it was kind of in reaction to this story, which is one of the main stars of Wicked wants to play Storm, and every time that gets posted, I see really conflicted opinions. I'm not familiar with her acting. She doesn't really seem like, from the trailer for Wicked, which is the only thing I've really seen, it's not a very good way to judge an actress. It didn't really seem to have the right energy to me, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I hope they just cast.
I watched that last weekend. It was pretty good.
I need to check it out. I'm waiting to watch it with the ladies in my life. I think they're both going to enjoy it quite a bit. Yeah, Sydney is Barbarella. That's a good point. And I've said before, she gets cast as so many different characters. I really need to see her in something that's like an action film or an adventure film or something like that, because I've seen her in comedies, I've seen her in drama stuff. She wasn't really action-y enough in Madam Web. She barely had any kind of stuff to do in there, and I don't think I could really. I think Madam Web had enough problems.
It was her in Anyone But You, right?
Yes, that was a good movie. I really like that a lot. Surprisingly good. Okay, Leonard pointed out that the original pitch for G.I. Joe was that Larry Hama came up with reintroducing the Howling Commandos as S.H.I.E.L.D. battling Hydra. They used his template to make G.I. Joe. That rings a bell.
Oh,
that does ring a bell. Not so much Nick Fury's kid, but I mean, I'm sure that could have tied into that.
Yeah.
100%.
Duke could have been Nick Fury Jr.
Will Holland is pretty. Well, I'll put it that way. She's a pretty good actress, but yeah, I don't know how tall either actress is, but also movie. I mean, we have tall Wolverine. Why can't we have regular height Storm? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, we did kind of have regular height Storm in the X-Men movies. So.
Yeah, well, and I think Halle Berry did a good job with what she wasn't given much to do, but
right.
She did a good enough job. Good point. We should just ask. You're right, Thomas.
Right.
The inventor of Storm.
And the Joes. And yeah.
I want to get to our next news story real fast, which is not talking about Ghostbusters again. Copy paste fail there on my part. This is just a quick thing that I thought was kind of cool. I've been itching for more Something Is Killing the Children. I should probably go see my doctor about that. I know. I'm making an appointment. It's a whole thing. Healthcare is busted, folks. Actually, you know what? I just reminded myself of something. Tangent, ADHD style tangent.
Squirrel.
But on a serious note, super serious note, friend of the channel, Chris from Comic Tropes, is dealing with some really serious stuff right now. For those that don't follow him on social media, he's actually in Japan.
Right.
And he's leaving Japan tonight because his wife has kind of an unknown illness. And he had to check her into a hospital in Japan. It's become a whole thing. So I know he's really kind of, he's publicly posting that he's kind of dealing with some struggles here and trying to make things right by taking his wife back to America to get, to see some US doctors, to see her normal doctors. And so they're literally flying like emergency flight to the United States tonight. I don't know what time it is in Japan. So I guess, today there or whatever. So if you want to go send some love, if you're not subscribed to Comic Tropes, maybe go subscribe to his stuff or go follow him on social media, show him some love, react to some of his posts where he's posted about this. Just kind of show some support. I think that would be a really cool, classy move for somebody who's been a really good friend of this channel before and is dealing with a hard time. And I know it's got to be scary. Not being able to speak the language very well. That's one of the posts he made, is that he actually speaks a little Japanese, but not very much. And he's trying to he can't be in the room with his wife. And so he's out in a waiting room, trying to communicate with the Japanese staff. And, it could be very frustrating.
That could really be tough.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just wanted to talk about that real fast and say, go show him some support. Usually he's in the chat here. Obviously, without him being on vacation, I wouldn't expect that, but especially right now.
Right.
But it just kind of made me think about how important it is to take care of our loved ones, and he's doing the right thing by being a good husband, and let's show him some support. So yeah, I hope it passes quickly for his wife for sure. So how about something that's killing the children? Getting back to this. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening on April 2nd, apparently, for Something That's Killing the Children fans. It's to help celebrate the 20th anniversary of Boom Studios and the Slaughterverse's 6th year, according to this article from CBR. So they're going to do another kind of dive into Erica's past, which I enjoyed her origin stuff that happened. I think it was issue 16 is where they started to explore some of her origin story stuff. And this is going to happen in issue 41. And we're going to learn a little bit more about her earlier days, which I'm excited for. I really like Something That's Killing the Children.
Third cover is awesome that they had there.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. I mean, God,
that one's pretty cool too.
There's some there are some modern bangers for Something That's Killing the Children,
right?
For covers. Variant covers by Jenny Frizen, Miguel Mercado, and Wida Satraya and Tula Late. Tula Late has been doing some fire covers recently too. I've noticed quite a few Late covers that are awesome.
So the third one was that Frizen? It must be Frizen.
That looks like Frizen, yeah. That's Frizen. I think that's Mercado is the second one. I think Late is the fourth one. And that's probably Satraya is the first one. I'm kind of guessing a little bit there, but just based on their styles. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. I know what I really hope is we get some kind of news about a series or something. Yeah, Jay just was in sync with me there. Bye. But yeah, I really want some news about the series because I cannot wait to see this thing adapted. After some of the shows I've watched recently, like I've kind of started watching some of the End of the Walking Dead that I never watched before. It would make such a good show, and I'm excited. I'm also just excited for the comic book. The arc where she's getting hunted by the other order member was pretty cool. It was interesting, but I'm excited to kind of keep reading and see the next stuff. That's kind of where I left off in the story.
That's a good question, TJ. What are the odds that it'll last longer than Walking Dead? Got a ways to go.
I think it's tough with Tinian. If he's not overextended, the odds are pretty good, but he tends to overextend himself. So my guess is I could see Something That's Killing Children going for like 75 or 100 issues pretty easily.
Yeah, what did Walking Dead get up to? It didn't even quite reach 150, right?
194.
Oh, did it? It was almost 200.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually speaking of Chris, there's a great video that Comic Tropes did. I don't fully agree with him. The thesis statement, though, is that he thinks The Walking Dead has a perfect ending for the comic book. And I admit he convinced me watching his video that in hindsight it was a better ending than it felt like at the time. But it's a great video of his to go watch. Maybe that's one way you could go support Comic Tropes is maybe after the stream you go watch that video he did on his channel. But he was talking about, he's friends with Robert Kirkman, and he was talking a little bit about like some of the interaction there. And one of the reasons Robert Kirkman wanted to end it before issue 200 is because he thought with the ramp up to issue 200, people are going to be so excited. People could see it maybe ending at 200, maybe because that's a nice round number.
Right.
And that was one of the perfect reasons it ended at 194, which is just a totally random number. And they actually, I don't remember this. They actually solicited the next like 3 issues after that.
They did.
Man, that is brutal.
So yeah, retailers were blindsided.
Yeah. And I don't mean to laugh at the plight of retailers there, but that is just, it's a masterful move to think of that, but I wish there was some way to have made that right with retailers, because I know the retailers were definitely pissed about that. So yeah, it's kind of a tough one, but still, the ending of Walking Dead is an interesting one.
You ever read? There was a book, came out during the Walking Dead heyday called Triple X Zombies.
No, I didn't.
It's a bunch of adult filmmakers who are during the zombie apocalypse, at the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. They're in Hollywood. And they start grabbing famous people who are zombified and using them in films.
Pick the wrong time to take
And
a
you
drink.
can, as you can imagine, things go very wrong.
Oh man. I am curious about people that dropped off of Something Is Killing the Children. What their thoughts were, but I've still really enjoyed it personally. And I agree, Erica Slaughter does need more cosplay love. That's a good point.
Yeah, I could get down with seeing some cool Erica Slaughter costumes. Awesome.
It's like relatively easy too. So
yeah,
I mean, if you've got the look for it, or you just want to do it or whatever.
I could pull it off, right?
Well, I mean, here's the beauty of it. There's plenty of characters in all the different houses and the orders and stuff that, I mean, there's plenty of characters that any of us could do, or create our own characters, or hey, if you want to cosplay as Erica Slaughter, more power to you. I support you fully. And I'm not even, it sounds like I'm kidding. I'm not even kidding. I support anybody who wants to do that. In fact, I heard that if we get my channel to 5,000 subscribers, I heard that Big B is going to cosplay as Erica Slaughter on the show. I heard that. I mean, just because I just said it, I heard that, but
oh, Jay.
Yeah,
definitely they modeled Erica after me.
I think this is kind of a fun story to tackle, because not only does it get across a news story that I wanted to talk about, but it also kind of ties a little bit into what we're talking about tonight. This is from comicbook.com. I don't know if I will be honest, I didn't even read the list of comic books because I wanted to kind of react to it live. But it's 5 essential Sinestro comic books to read ahead of his debut in the Lanterns TV show, which is the real news story. Is that the Blacklist's Ulrich Thompson, try to pronounce that correctly, was cast as Sinestro, which I think is good casting. They show a picture of him. Kind of just get right into it. Maybe that story shows a picture of him. I can show real fast. No. Anyways, he looks pretty good. I think he can easily pull off Sinestro's look. Maybe I'll try to bring up a picture after this.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyways, the point is, we're talking about our favorite G.I. Joe stories, and I think this is kind of a fun thing to do. Because first of all, there's people who don't really know Sinestro, or people who have no idea who Sinestro is, but might have heard of Green Lantern. And I think it's cool to get people to read some comic books before a new show debuts, or during or after or whatever. Like I want more people reading comic books. That's great. So let's see. They say the first one they recommend is Sinestro's Origin and Fall, in Green Lantern Volume 2, number 7. John
a
Broome.
Bad policeman.
Yeah, he's a bad policeman. Bad cop, no space donut.
Yep.
So I mean, that's kind of hard to argue with that.
Secret Origin, okay.
Yeah, that's the next one. This one, gosh, I barely remember this. It's Green Lantern Volume 4, 29 through 35. That's like, I feel like that was kind of like one of the weak spots in that series to me, but it's been a long time since I've read it.
Showing that he was actually had noble intentions, it said.
Yeah, demonstrating how the Grace Lanterns' fall from grace wasn't a simple matter of corruption, but a tragic consequence of his uncompromising vision for a better universe.
Okay.
That whole series was pretty fire. Like maybe it was, maybe I just don't remember it as much because the whole series was pretty good. I remember this is like my favorite Green Lantern run. But I did only read it once, and I read it like just in trade format, issue after issue after issue. So it's interesting. I'll have to go back and reread that probably pretty soon. It's a good excuse to go back and reread that run because I do love it. Emerald Dawn, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
This cover is always like his
Beware my power, human.
He's got like almost like a little Lobo or a leader thing almost going on with his hair here. I always thought it was funny.
Right. And prepare to die.
But Emerald Dawn 2, Keith Giffen can't go wrong there. Gerard Jones and MD Bright, man, two out of 3 we've lost, unfortunately. That's terrible. But yeah, that's a good one. Oh, Sinestro Core War. Yes, there we go. That's some of the heart of the good stuff about that run, and Green Lantern Corps 2 as well. Sinestro's Law, Hal Jordan and Green Lantern's Corps 1 through 7. I don't think I read that. That's the culmination of Sinestro's long-standing ambition to replace Green Lantern Corps with his own force built on fear. At the height of his power, having successfully established his Yellow Corps as the dominant peacekeeping force in the universe, his creation of the Fear Engine, a massive construct that amplifies his powers. It demonstrates both the scope of his ambition, the depths of his conviction that fear is necessary for cosmic order. Okay. I think I missed that one. I'll have to go check that out.
There we go.
Pretty good list.
Yeah.
Some stuff I need to check out. Some classics. I like it. Cool. It looks so weird seeing Sinestro as a Green Lantern.
Right.
It is a little strange for sure. Let's see. Awesome Sauce says at 10,000 subs, there's a nerd or heat and all nerd oranges. There's orgy. Maybe there's dancers and spider costumes and pizza pies and all sorts of craziness. Testify. I like the thought of that. Yeah, if they couldn't get Mark Strong, yeah, it's a good way. Yeah, Luke Evans. Okay, I can see that. Yep. Banshee is a good show. I agree. Although it kind of gets a little stale after a while, but yeah, it's a good one. So it's this time of the night that I'm going to choose to talk about our second show coming up on the EXP tomorrow night. If you want to check out the EXP's line of programming tomorrow, you can check out a new show they have, or newer show they have, I should say. It's called Wonderland Comics. It starts streaming at 10 Eastern, 9 Central. That'd be 7 Pacific. And that is a new claim sale show for new comic books that are coming out on New Comic Book Day. Also was willing to take requests and go to the back catalog. And that's Rich Davis. You may know as the writer of like Cult of Dracula, for example. And I just got pointed out that I was reading the wrong time. Let's go back. 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Pacific for Wonderland Comics, because I read things in the wrong order for my little notes here. But that's when Wonderland Comics takes place. If you keep watching, you'll end up seeing Kicking It with Henri. But if you just watch Wonderland Comics, that's at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Pacific. Good claim sale show if you want those new comic books. Maybe if there's a book you missed on FOC and you want to make sure that you get a chance to go back and get it for New Comic Book Day, if you want to, maybe pull some requests, I'm sure Rich is gonna be an entertaining person. Cult of Dracula was a good comic book. That's the one of his I've read, and yeah, definitely seems like a cool dude. Go check him out tomorrow on the EXP. And for those that aren't familiar, we are streaming over on the EXP. It's a network over on YouTube and also on Facebook. You can check it out on Twitch. And we're also streaming over on Big B McFly's channel and my channel. So if you want to follow any of those channels, the links are in the description below. Go sub them up. Go check them out. I also refreshed the link to my Discord, which I know is expired because they expire eventually. So that's a new link. If you want to go follow on the Discord, you can go do that. Yeah, we got some love for Rich in the chat from Actual Dracula. That's cool. It's cool. Absolutely. I think that was our last news story. Actually, I'm sorry. There is one more, which isn't. I don't have a link for it because it is just a couple pictures I'm going to share. I didn't get a reply back about this, but Drunk Wookie is a great follow on IG. He does a lot of Star Wars stuff, and so he was talking about some content related to Disney Plus and their streaming numbers.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which I thought was kind of cool. So I'll show you this slide first. The source is Luminate streaming viewership. I don't know what I was trying to get from him is how accurate this is, or like how they get their numbers. Maybe somebody knows. He's the kind of guy who does his research. I'm willing to talk about this at least as a conversation starter without seeing the numbers, posted, the source of the numbers posted. But it does come from Luminate streaming viewership. So this kind of gives us an insight into the top shows from 2024 that were on Disney Plus, which there's been a lot of debate about, the Star Wars shows and their success, which is obviously what he's interested in. This also mentions X-Men 97, so I was interested in that. And this is a show my family watched, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. We watched it as a family, loved it. So it's kind of, I was a little surprised that was the number one show in 2024.
Surprising,
but hey, that's cool. Means it's probably got a lot of legs left on it for future seasons, which I know there's a lot of books they can adapt. Right. So yeah, Percy Jackson and Olympians got 3,000 views in the millions. Is that 3 billion? Do I have that right? It's a ton of views. That's probably like every unique view, probably. But
those are minutes watched.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Yeah, that's the disconnect. Okay, I was like billions. That's crazy. But that's probably like hundreds of millions then, I guess. Tens of millions. I can't do math in my head that quickly. The Acolyte was number 2. Agatha All Along, Echo, X-Men 97 at 5. Star Wars The Bad Batch, season 3. That's the only. There's one other season 3 on here. Star Wars Skeleton Crew coming in behind Bad Batch. Ahsoka coming in behind both Bad Batch and Skeleton Crew.
That's surprising.
Yeah, that is surprising. And then Mandalorian season 3, and still holding it down, Mandalorian season 1.
Wow,
that's crazy to me. And kind of in a good way, to be honest. Because I season 1 of the Mandalorian is still, I think it slaps.
Yeah, I'm surprised X-Men 97 is not further up there.
I mean, you think about it, like I guess I'm a little surprised that's not above Echo.
Yeah,
maybe. It's close. It's darn close. But this slide is actually not the more interesting of the two from what he posted. This one to me was the more interesting one. So this is what I was trying to figure out where you got the data from exactly. But this is comparing budget to viewership. So he pulled out 4 shows from this, or maybe that's just the data he had available to him. The Acolyte, $230 million budget. Now it did get 2.673 billion views. That could be the minutes viewed for all I know. I don't really have the context for that. And then that's 86 million per view is how that works out. Per million views. 86 per million views. X-Men 97, and this is where it gets really interesting. The comparison to X-Men 97, which was a $20 million budget, so less than a tenth as much, had 1.43 billion views, and so that's 13,000 per million views. That's a massive difference.
Yeah.
So when you say like, yes, Acolyte had a lot of views, but X-Men 97 had more views and or not more views, but more cost savings per million views, right?
Right.
Which is a confusing way
For
to
the
say
money
that.
spent. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Bad Batch is on here too.
Because he's kind of guesstimating.
I think it's the low budget, high budget versus like, yeah, what the different estimates of the budget are out there. But you know, it's on there. It got similar, better actually results in X-Men 97, but it also had probably a lower budget. But yeah, so very interesting. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah,
kind of changes some of the narrative too about like why people are talking about certain shows and their performance on Disney Plus. And I'm very vested in some of these shows. Like on that first list, I got to bring that back up now. People crap all over Disney Plus shows, and I'm the kind of person, I don't let what other people say affect my ability to like something. Sometimes I'm more critical of things because of what people say. I'm like, oh yeah, actually, you know what? I do kind of see their criticism. But at the same time, Percy Jackson, I thought it was awesome. Acolyte, I thought was really up and down. But it had some cool moments. Like there's that episode where they have the huge fight in the forest. It ends on a pretty cool note. I definitely want to see what happened next. We're not going to get a chance to do that because it didn't get renewed for season 2, but
right.
Oh well. Agatha All Along was really good.
I enjoyed that. Yeah, a lot.
Echo to me is honestly one I expected to enjoy more and ended up not really connecting with, unfortunately. I wanted to like it. X-Men 97 is probably like one of my top 2 or 3 shows of 2024, maybe even better. Yep. Bad Batch, I had a hard time sticking with it. I watched it with my daughter and she really enjoyed it. And she really likes the character Omega in that show, but it was cool. I think I liked the first season the most of that show still.
I enjoyed the Skeleton Crew show. I thought that was pretty good.
Skeleton Crew felt like an 80s adventure movie to me.
Yep.
In the best possible way. You know, think like Goonies or The Explorers or whatever. Really good. Ahsoka, I wanted to like it. I did like it. I wanted to love it.
Yeah.
That's how I'd put it. But I mean, there's some characters in there I care a lot about. I'm a massive fan of Star Wars Rebels. Mandalorian season 3, yeah, it probably had the viewership numbers holdover, but I know that's probably a lot of people's least favorite season. I loved it because I love Bo-Katan, but she probably should have had like her own show, or there should have been like, you know, maybe that should have been a different show called The Mandalorians or something like that. I could kind of see that argument. You know, people had problems with that. Seen some love in the chat for Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was like the show I didn't like. That was a show that was a big disappointment to me.
Have you seen there's like a fan edit of that show where they recut the show, and I hear it's really, really good.
I'd be willing to check that out. My problems with Obi-Wan were like almost like conceptual. Like I just don't think it should have been made. Because it kind of recontextualizes some of the stuff that happens in the original trilogy in a way I don't appreciate. Like, I don't really like what they did with Obi-Wan's character. And part of it is the stuff that happens in the Star Wars comic book from Marvel, the I think it's 2015 when that series started, where they tell a lot of the stuff from Obi-Wan's perspective while he's on Tatooine. Some of the stories are great. Like that's the first appearance of Black Chrysanthemum, for example, is a fight he has with Obi-Wan. It's cool. It's good stuff. I would rather see some of that. Son of Crom comes in and says he got Chaos Prime to 96.
Yep, number 96.
There you go. Solid. Love it. Thanks, Son of Crom, for doing that. That's awesome. Let's try to get him to 100, guys. With Echo, there's a lot of stuff that's changed. There was also a lot of stuff that hit the cutting room floor as well. Yeah, it feels like a lot of these shows, and this is true of movies now too, feels like studios get involved and they cut, or they ask for re-edits. I don't know.
That whole time period Like all those shows going on during there, they had so much stuff. The movies and the shows where there was a lot of turmoil with Disney and Marvel and Star Wars, all the Disney stuff.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think it's kind of that classic example of maybe too many cooks in the kitchen kind of a thing.
Right.
You know, if you just let Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni run without interference from up high, I bet you we'd like more of their stuff. Then again, maybe that's what happened. You know, maybe the result is Ahsoka and they were able to do whatever they want. I guess that was mostly Dave Filoni. But yeah, I know season 3 of Mandalorian supposedly had a lot of interference too. So,
right.
Cinecrom says he just stopped in to say hi and we'll watch on the rerun. Cool. Well, Star Trek Discovery is a great show too.
Make sure to drop us some comments in the rerun.
Yeah. Listen, what you think about our thoughts on G.I. Joe, which we're going to discuss here in a second. Although, I'll leave it up to Bigby. Should we do community art show off or should we do G.I. Joe?
I think we should do the main topic just so people, aren't, disappointed if they're hanging around for that.
Yeah, there we go. I love it. This is why I found the best co-host in the game, because it keeps us on task.
It's mutual.
Us being me. I'm gonna put up yours first because I feel like there's no better place to start. Your first entry here. I know for those behind the scenes, Big B was kind of rushing to get to the show on time, so he didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare materials. I didn't have much more to prepare than he did, but I did have some websites I can kind of bring up. But excuse me, great place to start is G.I. Joe #1. And for by the way, I guess I should reintroduce our topic a little bit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of our favorite stories from G.I. Joe. And I kind of left that a little open-ended on purpose. We'll kind of talk about a few of the other, versions of the properties and all that. We'll have some honorable mentions. But yeah, again, G.I. Joe #1, great place to start. Take it away, Big B.
It's great issue. Lady Doomsday.
Yeah.
The scientist with the end of the world information in her head, and Cobra wants her, and G.I. Joe's got to protect her. So this is a great issue. And a good storyline to start off the franchise. They just did a really great job.
Starts off with Baroness, so you can't get much better than that.
Yeah, you can get the Baroness right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like, the character development in this book is just like great. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you don't see coming, or like some characters that you think are lame, and then all of a sudden they turn out to be really great characters. So just good stuff.
I'm sorry, I got interrupted by the idea of one of Kyle's cousins playing a Wookiee.
Okay.
And that just made me think of Kyle as a Wookiee.
Well,
Yeah. Sorry. G.I. Joe 1.
Right.
It's a baller story.
Great cover too.
Such a great cover. It makes it one of my favorite, slabs I have, and I've talked a million times about. It's sentimental to me, but just the cover, it's perfect. I would love to see like a really good like poster, or like there's a couple of modern takes on this that were pretty cool. I'm always for seeing more versions of this.
The funniest thing on that is that they didn't think Snake Eyes was going to be a popular character. He's not on the cover of issue 1.
Yeah. It's really actually kind of weird. Snake Eyes in general is kind of a weird character in the comics versus the cartoon, because he's a bigger deal in the comics than he is in the cartoon.
For sure.
But he has some cool moments in the cartoon, but he's actually surprisingly not that. Probably because he doesn't talk, is my guess. But I mean, I think there's 100,000 ways to make that cool, but I have a feeling that they just were like, what do we do with that?
Yeah, I mean, couldn't they have worked in some American Sign Language stuff in there or whatever,
That would have been cool.
You're learning sign language from a cartoon as a kid or whatever.
That would have been really cool. I mean, how about that for some PSAs too?
Right.
So I kind of have to, steal some thunder from one that Big B's going to talk about, because the first one on my list is G.I. Joe 21. He definitely has this on his list, of course, but he went in numerical order, so that doesn't help him out. I get to beat him to it. I'm just kidding.
It's all good.
For those that don't know, G.I. Joe 21 is the silent interlude. That's its official name of the story, silent interlude. However, most people probably know it as the silent issue because that's basically what it advertises itself as. Another great cover, one of the best
Amazing
Snake Eyes
cover.
covers of all time.
Snake Eyes hanging off the side of Castle Destro.
Just so cool. It's been copied, imitated. I can't say enough cool things about it. It's introduction of Snake Eyes or Storm Shadow, I mean, which is obviously, if you're a big Snake Eyes fan, or if you're a big Storm Shadow fan, it's a huge deal.
The cover needs like a note, like, note, this moment does not happen in this book.
It's one of those ones where it's close enough to the actual action that I'm not one of those people who doesn't need the cover image like depicted in the book, but I don't like the covers that are completely unrelated to the inside, right? Like they have nothing to do with it. This one, at least he's storming the castle.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's funny though.
It could have happened.
This is like one of those classic cases, like where there's the people that say, is Snake Eyes a commando or is Snake Eyes a ninja? And the comic usually portrays him more as a ninja. Kind of both, but he's both. I mean, really,
he's both.
He's heavily capable of being a ninja at all times in the comic book, even if he's acting as a commando, right?
He's a commando who is trained as a ninja, or a ninja who is trained as a commando, one or the other.
But he's got more of a commando thing going on the cover for sure than he does. Yeah. He's definitely more of a ninja in the story.
True.
Very cool. It actually kind of goes to one of my favorite moments that I'm going to talk about a little bit later with the movie, because there's the assault that Pythona does on the Terrordrome in the beginning of the movie. And I love that whole like one person army wrecking crew taking on like a fortified position or something like that. Like it's just so easy to be a badass in those moments, right? Like it's just so well done too by Larry Hama in this particular case.
Right.
Which is also another really good point, is that he's the penciler on the issue. So it's not just, he's the writer.
Larry Hama was the penciler on that issue too. That's really good.
So very cool. Actually, I wonder if he had. I wonder if the inker did a lot of finishings on that, maybe, or something like that. I could see that happening. But
first appearance of the Red Ninjas too, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
He. I know Larry Hama often did like cover. What do you call it? Layouts,
right?
Too, which would like the roughs for them, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget about that, but
that was a very, very good issue.
Yeah. Here's where Big B gets to sneak one in on me by virtue of his order, because this would totally be on my list. Issue 2.
Issue number 2.
He's like, what's better than issue 1? Issue 2.
For those of you who don't know, that comic was the hottest book in the universe. Like that was the book. You forget X-Men 94, Giant Size X-Men, any of that stuff. It was G.I. Joe number 2. And
for like 15 years.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
But that is amazing story. First appearance of Quinn the Eskimo. Amazing story, amazing character that like really didn't even have a toy or anything. It was just, he was there to fill in, plotline stuff, but just a great issue.
There's Quinn right there.
There's Quinn, he's got his weasel skull necklace.
Yeah,
he has the firing pins from all of Joe's weapons in the necklace.
What I loved about Quinn was he's like this big ass, like intimidating guy. Physically, just like he's kind of like Andre the Giant kind of in stature, right? A little bit, but he's also really intelligent. Like there's kind of this cat and mouse game that happens between the Joes and him up in the polar regions, and it's pretty awesome. I think actually that's the name of this comic book, isn't it Panic? Yeah, Panic at the North Pole. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Very good story. Very good story. I mean,
it takes place like over distance too. Like there's this whole like kind of like race kind of thing that happens, like a chase scene over the snow, which is really neat. You don't see that very often.
Right. It was the ending where he left his necklace as an offering to the gods with the firing pins for their weapons. And he's there. He's like, "Don't worry, I'm sure the Joes will find them before you will," or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's great.
That's cool. I love this. I noticed this earlier. There's all the featured like Joes and characters and stuff like that. And usually there's more Cobra. Obviously, this is one of the few issues that didn't have much Cobra going on. Actually, hardly any. If maybe just like a mention. But then they get to like featured vehicles and equipment. There's like makeshift ice boat, dog sled. Kind of love that because and I'm not really even being facetious because it's one of those things where a lot of Joe comic books are featuring characters or toys, for the figures obviously,
right,
and vehicles for those toys. But this one was just a pure like character drama kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's to say like Larry Hama did a great job of like developing side characters that weren't necessarily toy characters to support the heroes. So
absolutely. Awesome Sauce is mentioning it in the chat, so I'll talk about it because I kind of went a little bit beyond the just the comics. He's talking about Cold Slither, which if you're not, so how do you even explain Cold Slither? If you're not familiar with G.I. Joe, Cold Slither is essentially an episode where the Dreadnoks, which is a faction that works for Cobra, kind of imitate a heavy metal hair band from the 80s and use like subliminal messages in their songs, and it's just a crazy fun episode. And the song is quite catchy. I can't do it justice, but it's pretty fun. It's a fun episode, fun moment. There's Cold Slither in all its glory.
Dreadnoks and Zartan is a badass hairband from the.
It's so great. But the best part is, folks, that some of the Joe ladies go undercover to try to infiltrate the plot, and so you have CoverGirl, Lady J, and Scarlet going undercover. This episode may or may not have affected me a lot as a child. Just say to this day, Lady J is one of my favorite characters.
Love it.
Out of context, I'll just leave this image up to everybody's imagination of the main Cobras covered in. Let's just say I'm gonna go with ice cream. Let's just say it's ice cream.
Foam. Yeah, they were on the dance floor.
Yeah,
release the foam.
And then the average Joe band takes the show at the end. Look, the cartoon, I rewatched most of it with my daughter recently because she got into G.I. Joe. It's cool. Like there's some cool moments. There's some real filler episodes and some kind of, just meh kind of stuff. But for the time that it came out, there's some cool episodes.
So let's touch on the cartoon real quick. Okay. My favorite of the cartoons are the original mini series that they had.
Yeah, like the Weather Machine,
the Weather Dominator, the Mass Device. Those ones were my favorites.
Yeah. For me, Cold Slither is up there. I like the alternate universe one, Worlds Without End. That's pretty cool. I like I will tell you that the one where Shipwreck is like brainwashed and keeps having the visions of people that melt away terrified me as a kid. I can't remember what episode that is, but that one definitely scared me. Another classic, The Viper is Coming.
The Viper is Coming. See, a lot of the episodes seem like they were almost aimed at being like humorous for kids, and I was like, sure. I want something more from my Joes.
Yeah, well, and so I will unironically in my next item, I will unironically defend the animated universe.
Okay.
But it's Bigby's turn, so I want to give him his due, and he's going to come at you, folks. If you didn't kind of know how to count, he's going to come at you with issue number 3.
Which that's Son of Crom right there in the foreground, by the way. totally Son of Crom right there.
That's funny.
But no, this issue is great. Again, not really like toy tie-in or anything. It's got this giant robot. You come in at the end of this battle with this giant robot, and they're taking the pieces away. And Cobra has basically made this thing so that it'll reassemble itself, so that it will give them the location of the Joe base, and then it disassembles itself into smaller and smaller pieces, trying to get away. And they're trying to stop it before it can get to the surface to tell Cobra where their base is. It's a great issue, and it's just fun.
It's pretty fun because it introduces you to the pit, which is the Joe's base. And my recurring storylines, the pit is my favorite. Like recurring Cobra trying to locate and or invade the pit. There's like 3 or 4 storylines where that happens. And like there's a great issue where they end up like there's 3 Quonset huts in the middle of the desert right above the Joe base. I don't remember exactly how it works, but Spirit Iron Knife is usually the one, for whatever reason, it's like guarding the huts up above, and he's like kind of like base security in some ways in the comic books. And there's like these great plots where like they move the huts like 40 meters to the left or something like that. So when they try to invade, like there's nothing under the floor for them to get into the base with. There's just like really fun moments like that. But the few times it gets invaded, like there's one where a bunch of bats, which are the android troopers, get dropped in, and it's like the second model of them, and they're like Terminators basically. So it's a tough fight. There's some really great ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the
the original pit was in the chaplain school, right?
Right. Underneath the chaplain school. and then I think it's this issue, right, where there's like a party or a mixer or something like that going on during, and they're like hearing the bass rumble and stuff.
Right.
And they're like, "What's that?" Oh, it's just tanks rolling by or whatever. But that's kind of it. Is I think it's like a lot of the main characters are kind of up at that party, and so it's kind of like some of the like Clutch and a few of the others are kind of just down there working on vehicles and stuff.
Isn't that how the last little spider piece that has the transmitter? They're dancing and Clutch like steps on it.
Something like that. Yeah, I remember something along those lines. It was great.
They smelled them cooking the food. That's right.
It's been a while since I've read this, but yeah, there's some good stuff in there. I mean, some people say it's lame, some people say it's great. I think it was fun. I agree with you.
I liked it.
Yeah. So I mentioned this earlier. I will go to the mat now. I know there's a lot of people that will fight me on this one. Speaking of some people thinking it's lame, and I'm going to talk about G.I. Joe the movie.
Okay.
And I referenced it with the Pythona scene. The movie slaps. I think it is absolutely probably the only thing that could be better is Transformers. The Transformers the movie, which I've always hated how it's the Transformers the movie. That's the official title, but some people could say that's better, and I'll tell you that is a better soundtrack. You can't beat the touch. But
or Dare to Be Stupid.
Yeah, that's true. But this movie, everything about it is so cool. I love the training of the new recruits. People love to rip on Cobra Law, and I get that. I get it. However, for a movie, it does take it to a different level. And I think that it's actually fun to have. I don't know about the Cobra Law Imperial Troopers. Yeah, you can maybe argue that they're not as cool. But Nemesis Enforcer, Pythona, like the entry scene I was talking about where Pythona invades the Terrordrome to get to Serpentor to tell him to come to Cobra Law. is fantastic. Absolutely great. The whole opening scene with the the BET, which in context, watching it today is pretty funny to hear them referring to it. It's like, the BET, but it's the broadcast energy transmitter,
Right.
and it's like a
right.
wireless power source thing. That whole fight scene's cool. Trying to chase Cobra, and Cobra's seeking refuge at Cobra Law. That whole thing's really neat, with where Nemesis Enforcer's like slicing through the bottom of the Snowcat and stuff with his elbow.
Oh yeah, it's like
claws.
Cobra is like just barely limping in there, and then it's like the Joes are like, "Oh, we got this," and it's
Yeah. Some of the great, like I Was Once a Man, the whole transformation of Cobra Commander. I love the Falcon. Falcon's my favorite, Joe. Talked about it before, primarily because the toy was like a freaking Green Beret, right? There's the new classified series Falcon.
Right.
Don Johnson voicing him in the movie. It's a little, look, I get it. He's a mess up, but it makes sense. He's kind of the loose cannon, brother of Duke. We get awesome things like seeing him go train under Sergeant Slaughter, which is really cool. It kind of toughens him up a little bit, gets him a little more disciplined. It's a little silly to think about somebody who's a Green Beret being so undisciplined, I guess. I get that too, but it's also a children's cartoon.
Steve wants the Cobra Law battle cry.
I would, but I would piss off my neighbors and my family that's trying to sleep upstairs. So maybe Big B does, but
I don't know if I can do it justice.
Okay.
It was basically like Cobra La 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 La, wasn't it? Like just
there you go, just at a higher volume, right? See, Big B knows, and knowing is half the battle. Good job. So, but I also, the intro is so cool. Cobra, like it's just so like either the whole song in the beginning is just great.
That's one of the intros there. One of the promos they did for us has that. Like the very last one, it was my favorite. They did some great animation. That intro animation for it was really good.
Yeah, and that's part of it is the animation is really. You talked about how a lot of the episodes were silly. The movie is at least attempting to be serious,
right? The animation in the beginning, like there's a part where where's it? Not what's the other general? Hawk? Not
Hawk, yeah.
Where he's got the machine gun and it's like he's actually like it's recoiling as he's going back across the screen. It's really cool.
Yeah, there's some great stuff. And then the classic scene at the end where Duke gets the snake spear through the heart and just goes into a coma for a while.
Of course. Because we already killed Optimus Prime and scarred millions of children. So,
which I love that little fact that technically that was written before that he was going to die, that Duke was going to die before the Transformers movie came out, but just the way that the production shook out, the Transformers film made it to screens first, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to backtrack. We're going to change that." So originally, if everything had aired as written, like if it could have been possible for it to do that way, Duke would have died, and then they probably never would have killed Optimus Prime.
Right.
And then Falcon would have been Duke's replacement. So the second time unintentionally. That's great.
No, I remember originally watching that movie and yeah, we were hoping for. It started going more sci-fi-ish, and my group of friends were like, we always want things to be more.
That's the classic debate.
Yeah,
I agree, and that makes perfect sense.
I enjoy it for what it is now, but back then,
the cool thing is for the toys, you could always just pick and choose what you cared about, right? Like, so that never really mattered. The cartoon was always a little more out there for sci-fi, but even the comic book did it from time to time too. So
right.
I mean, you literally have sci-fi the character. So
Larry Hama tried to keep it fairly grounded with the sci-fi elements. So
Jay, I can't remember if it has a random curse word, but it did have a deleted nude scene, and I'm not kidding. So there's actually an animation cell that was part of the concept art. So one of the plot lines, which is also a really cool scene, is Lieutenant Falcon is goofing off and on a date with his girl, kind of showing her around the base or the area around the base, and kind of trying to get a little frisky with her. And while he's doing that, she's like, well, shouldn't you be at your post? Which he should. And he's like, oh, there's all these security measures, and he's going through it. And as he's going through it, you see Cobra Law and the Cobra forces breaking through each security measure.
Security measure as he's talking about it. That's
yeah. Right. Which is a cool little writing and editing trick right there. But during that scene, at the end of it, and from his perspective, there's a moment where she gets in the water, and you see like a Cobra Law submarine kind of thing come out of the water. But she's supposed to start getting undressed during that scene, and there's a animation cell or like a concept art thing of Zorana, which is who that girl actually was, kind of taking off her bathing suit. So if you want your G.I. Joe movie to be a little spicy, isn't it crazy that they almost had a nude scene in a kids animated movie?
Like when they had Transformers in the movie, when we were all shocked when Spike yells out shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I agree. Awesome Sauce that Sergeant Slaughter, it is in the show. His best moment in the show is when they're trying to take his DNA for Serpentor because they need to replace one of the other. I can't remember who it was, Genghis Khan or whatever. He's like wrecking Cobras left and right. And they're like, we should just get that guy's DNA. Right. But the movie was definitely he went hard in the movie. Which I mean, really,
Johnny T there asked us about how often we get together and talk Joes. But welcome to the chat.
That's a good question. Probably
we need to do it more.
I think it comes up most times we hang out, or at least, I think most times. But yeah, we actually, so that's one of the reasons we're doing this. If you guys like this, and I know, kind of a low viewership night, I know there's some live events and stuff going on, and it's, people have different schedules. Hopefully people are watching on the rewind. Let us know in the comments if you are. But what I'm curious about is we talked about doing kind of a reread or a podcast style show based on going through the Larry Hama run, the Marvel Larry Hama run. And kind of doing like, I don't know if we would take like, maybe we read issues 1 through 5 and then we do an episode or something like that, right? Like we would probably not one issue.
Maybe look at what like John's Comics with Kids does, where they're doing X-Men. They do one issue at a time. It's really cool.
Okay, yeah, different ways we could do it. That aside, if you guys are curious about us doing that, if that's interesting to you, let us know, because I think it'd be fun.
Yeah,
I definitely would love to do something like that. So. And plus, I mean, it's one of those things too where I've read bits and pieces of this over the years, going back to it, but I don't think I've like sat down and reread it like 1 through 155.
Right.
So,
that'd be fun.
There we go. Already seeing some love.
There we go.
Mrs. Enforcer should have humbled Sarge, not Iron Sheik style though. Ooh, that's a good question. Did he use the Cobra Clutch? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know.
So. Okay, you just got the companion as well. We were talking about that earlier. That's cool.
Cool.
Let's see. So that was my pick. Let's move on. Let's see. Is issue 4? No, it's not issue 4.
And go to issue 5.
Oh, it's not loading.
Is it 5?
Oh, it's making me log into Discord again. Here's what I'll just pull it up on. I'll pull it up on Fandom, because that's actually got more images anyway. That's what I was doing for the others. Kind of ruined that joke setup, but there we go. Discord links sometimes are weird. Here we go, issue 5. So this is Big B's next pick, so take it away, Big B.
I love the way that, like, Hama was like fleshing out the characters and during this run. So you've got is it Steeler and Zap, right, in a parade.
Breaker and Clutch.
Oh, was it Breaker and Clutch? Oh, Breaker and Clutch. Okay.
According to the fandom, at least.
I got Steeler somewhere in there.
He was. I'm sorry. Steeler, Clutch, and Breaker.
Okay.
So I got it wrong.
parade, but they have no weapons in the parade, and Cobra decides to attack during the parade. They have no ammunition.
Right. Their guns aren't loaded.
Yeah, and it's a great issue. They decide that the PA system on the tank, they have a big old speaker on there, right? And so who is it that's always blowing the bubbles? Is it
Breaker?
So Breaker starts like popping the bubble gum over the PA system, and Cobra thinks they're firing the cannon on the tank.
It's great.
Yeah.
Well, this is some cool stuff for sure.
Yeah, this is a very good.
I like it.
Like a lot of just like building the characters, building the background on the characters, getting to know both the good guys and the bad guys. It's just really well done stuff.
Yeah, totally. No, it's good stuff. I 100% agree. My question is, why do you hate issue 4 so much?
I just didn't want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know.
I will say
number 4 is the first appearance of Snake Eyes on a cover.
Yeah, I will say number 4 is a pretty cool cover.
Oh, actually, no. Number 2. He's on number 2. It's the first one where you can see him fully in his costume or his outfit, though.
A little Herb Trimpy action. That's awesome.
That's a weird issue. That's like the one where it isn't the survivalists in like Idaho or something. That whole.
So basically a documentary.
Yeah.
I used to live in Idaho. I definitely can talk about it. Mr. Towers wants to know, do you think there could ever be a cool movie like this today, updated to today's technology? And I think we talked about X-Men 97 earlier. That's a perfect template for how you could do this. It's crazy to me. One of the things we could talk about a little bit is
your mic is doing something weird. The mic is doing something weird. Your mic. Can't understand.
It's almost like you can hear somebody else making music. That's really strange. Like I hear somebody, can you see somebody else breathing?
That is weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that was weird. It sounded like somebody else was breathing.
all right. Hear me?
Yeah,
There we
I can
go.
hear you now. You don't sound like a weird, scratchy, weird thing. Sorry, everybody, for that. Yeah, you sounded like some weird. Yeah, all your vocalizations were like coming out as like hissing and popping.
But okay, you can hear me now.
Yeah, you're fine. You're
Okay,
fine.
sorry. As soon as I unplug my mic and plug it back in, it switches over. It thinks it's a speaker for some reason, so I have to switch over my windows to my speakers again.
Oh, I got you. No, it's all
so I
good.
can hear
All
you.
good. Yeah, no, we're good.
I wonder if it just like a memory thing happened because it was running for a while. Or that's weird. Sorry about that, everybody.
Okay.
Let me know if it happens again.
We were on a good track there. We're talking about updating what the story for modern days.
Yeah, I think X-Men. Someone call the Televipers. I love it. Way to go. So yeah, I'll have to go back and watch on the rewind and see what it was doing. But yeah, with the X-Men 97 just kind of showing us the track record of what can be done, I think it's totally possible. But the problem I've seen is ever since the G.I. Joe Real American Hero saga ended, early 90s, of 92, 93 or so, the toy line started to decline. The comic book lasted a little bit longer, but not much. G.I. Joe's just never rose back to popularity. And I don't know if it's just terrible ideas. Like the movies were weird. The live action movies were strange. I actually weirdly enjoyed the second one a little bit more than the first one. But it's like just a fun film. But the first one's a better G.I. Joe movie, if that makes any sense. But it's not very good. The only thing that's good about the first one is Cobra Commander.
Right.
But anyways, the Snake Eyes movie wasn't very good. None of that stuff inspires a lot of confidence. The toy line has tried to come back a few times. The classified series seems to be a pretty big success for adult collectors or retro collectors. I don't know if it's I don't know if kids are really getting that involved in it. Hard to kind of judge that. Whenever I'm looking for classified series figures on the store shelves, I don't really ever see kids browsing that area. They're more like in the other toy aisles, and I usually see more adults, like in the Marvel Legends and G.I. Joe Classified and all that kind of stuff, which makes sense. A lot of retro collectors that are, like me, trying to recapture that youth kind of stuff. But I don't see it having that kind of success. So if Hasbro wanted to redo, they wanted to look at X-Men 97 as a blueprint and try to maybe kind of do a newer version of the series, I think it could go a long ways towards reinvigorating it. And maybe setting up a live action film. They're supposed to be doing some kind of live action G.I. Joe versus Transformers thing. The Energon reboot was kind of successful, like the Duke series, which was going to be an honorable mention of mine. The Duke series from Skybound was really cool. The mainline other stuff hasn't been as cool. It's definitely not as good as Transformers. So it's just weird. It's in a weird spot, I think, and it could use a shot in the arm like that. That's just my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I think. Well, also we had like a kind of a shift in like the world after like 9/11 and stuff. So people didn't want their kids playing with toys that had terrorists in them. So there's that whole thing.
That's true. That's true. And I think just like the military toys in general, kind of fell out of favor. But it's weird for me because in some ways it's like, I don't know. I feel like maybe there's something to this. There was a lot of toy guns and a lot of G.I. Joe. I feel like it got a lot of my aggression out as a kid that way, kind of like playing.
No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but
I know it's kind of like a culture shift, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, but there's another weird one, and I'm actually curious what people's opinion is on this. There's a lot of people that think the hooded Cobra Commander look is inappropriate in today's time, and I understand their argument, but I'm surprised by it. Like, I don't really see it as being that big of a problem, but a lot of people do have issues with it. I think it looks a little too potentially problematic for a lot of people.
I think he's like KKK or something.
I guess that's the idea. I never personally saw it that way, and I was kind of actually like, I was surprised to hear that take from people. But then I kind of stopped and think about, like, okay, I guess from the outside looking in, if you're not familiar with the character, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the pointy thing or any.
No, not at all. I mean, I don't think there's anything to that.
Right.
And for me, I prefer that look over the mirrored faceplate look, although I do think that looks iconic too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, for example, like the figures, they will only do supposedly, kind of like they won't make a slave Leia or Hut Slayer Leia figure in that costume anymore. They supposedly won't make a hooded Cobra Commander figure, which I think is kind of a missed opportunity. But I get it too. On the other hand, I guess I'm just kind of curious what people's thoughts were.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
I mean, like, I always thought that was kind of like, that was his. The chrome face was always, the going into battle look,
yeah.
But the hooded, that's what he wore around the office.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it, like striking terror and like doing the speeches, they take over the airwaves and do speeches to people and threaten them and everything. It's a more terrifying look, like a more like terrorist kind of look, I guess in modern terms, the make-believe terrorists.
Right. Yeah.
who only want your money and maybe to take over your politics. That's about it. They want to rename your town Springfield.
Yeah, their motives weren't always real clear. Where there was just
No.
like financial kind of, but there
Kind
was
of. But then they seem to have a lot of money. Like they seem to have a lot of money. Like the twins always kind of seem to be controlling like stock market stuff and
building huge bases and everything. Got to be some money there, right?
Well, then it's funny. And actually, one of the storylines I was going to talk about, which I'll just bring it up now, so we can kind of keep talking about stuff while we're tangenting, kind of. There's the whole Trucial Abysmia plot line that happens in the early 100s issues of the G.I. Joe series. Leads to one of my favorite moments in the G.I. Joe comics. But what part of the plot there is they're like selling terror drones to this nation and installing them, and Falcon goes in and leads a team, and they're trying to like destroy terror drones and stuff. And that's when a bunch of Joes get captured and eventually executed. Another reason why Falcon's one of my favorite characters. He's the character who actually takes down the Saw Viper that's killing all of the Joes that were taken prisoner. In a great moment that I love in the comic books. So kind of this whole arc is kind of one of my favorite stories. This comic in particular. Oh, I'm not showing this. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Speak of the hood, there's the hood.
Yeah, there's the hood. I'll go back. I was showing issue 108. Which you got kind of cool cover there. And then in 109 is when some of the Joes die. And then there's, I think, is it 110 that has the Saw Viper cover? Yeah, this cover. Kind of deal with the aftermath and Falcon taking down the Saw Viper and stuff. It's just a cool. It's a very much a. It was the desert conflict that was kind of the placeholder conflict for the Gulf War at the time.
Mm-hmm.
In a fictional country, and it's this whole kind of political intrigue. They're trying to be arms suppliers to this nation, and it's got a lot of cool moments, a lot of cool intrigue going on. So that's kind of my second favorite G.I. Joe story.
This website you're using to do the research.
This is gijo.fandom.com. It's like basically like a very specific style wiki for G.I. Joe.
There you go.
And there's like Marvel fandom too and stuff like that.
People who are interested in looking this stuff up themselves.
And there's another great website too. I always just search and it comes up and it has, gosh, is it Joepedia or something like that? I think I can't remember the name of it, but there's a couple of great Joe websites. If you search around a little bit.
I remember when I first got into collecting the toys, recollecting the toys. Yojo.com was great for like identifying what weapons went with who. And yeah,
Yojo is also fantastic. There's also I think it's, am I pulling this name out of my butt? I think Mark Bright wrote a bunch of books that kind of detail like all the figures and all the accessories that came with them, with like high quality pictures and approximate values and stuff. And I think Yojo pulls some of that data. Yeah, I could be mistaken there, but also very good. And they have a whole comics section too there. I think that's actually the site I was thinking of.
Joepedia was right, says Jay.
Okay, there's Joepedia and there's also Yojo. So there's some great websites. That's the short end of it. But yeah. Let's see. So you did, okay, so there's that one. There's the silent issue where you talked about that. So your next one that we should bring up is, in fact, I'll bring it up on Yojo. Let's go for G.I. Joe number 26. Great story.
I have a soft spot in my heart for that one because it's the first comic I ever got off the spinner rack.
Nice.
And
so this is Yojo.
The origin of Snake Eyes, beginning to talk about like his relationship with Storm Shadow, the clan. I'm gonna mispronounce it. Ashikage. Is that
Arashikage? I believe.
Arashikage. Yeah. And what happened? What led to Storm Shadow leaving? Them believing that Storm Shadow assassinated one of the leaders of the clan. Which later comes out that it was Zartan. Great. That whole thing. And then the issue many issues later, when we're dealing with this whole thing of Serpentor and Cobra Commander wants to get control again of his troops and everything, and he sends Zartan. So Zartan's doing the bow thing where the way he killed the other guy, and it's flashing back and forth between the. It's so great.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's just the whole. There's like what 6 or 7 issues that kind of go over Snake Eye's origin, basically. Primarily, I mean, there's others that tie into it too. And they're all fantastic. They kind of, I don't know. There should be a trade that basically just collects those together, because it would be really good graphic novel for Snake Eyes.
I don't know if you know that, but the on that picture there on the cover, the family wiped out in flaming wreck. The driver of that vehicle was Cobra Commander.
Yep. He retells that. I think that's in Unmaskings. I think where he tells that story.
Yep. Yeah. He's the man who killed Snake Eye's family accidentally drunk driving.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's kind of cool. The world building is just all great. And then you had there's a few other issues here. I want to make sure. I think really I kind of have just one other one. So I'll just kind of go over that real fast, and we'll kind of go through your other issues here.
Okay.
So my favorite arc, complete story, is the Cobra Island Civil War, and it kind of kicks off.
One of my favorite arcs is the origins of Cobra Island, where it's like kind of one of the first times where you see the Joes really lose. They can't stop Cobra from making this island out of the seabed floor, raising this land and making their own country. Yeah. And so you just like, whoa, the Joes like failed. And so go ahead.
No, I mean, it's important setup stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have that written down in my notes as like one of my favorite parts. It's like the first time you really see G.I. Joe like totally fail.
Yeah. And that's the other cool thing is, it's not like Cobra loses every time.
Right.
G.I. Joe usually has like, the upper hand in the end. But so this is kind of the kickoff, sort of kind of, I think it kind of leads up a couple issues before this, of the Cobra Island Civil War. And basically you have a team of Joes in the beginning that kind of gets inserted into Cobra Island as kind of a surveillance team. And they start to see this conflict that crops up. And the origin of the conflict is primarily that there's this Crimson Guard, Crimson Guardsman, who is impersonating Cobra Commander inside his, we talked about battle armor earlier. He gets like upgraded battle armor that's, like basically something out of like
a mech suit.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. It's almost like an Iron Man suit. And his name is, I think it's Fred 7. I can't remember which Fred he is. They're all called Fred. Not all of them.
Because the original Cobra Commander like is losing his steam of being a terrorist. He's like wanting to turn his life around, and Fred kills him.
It's kind of crazy how it works. Like
Fred kills him.
Some of it's in retrospect to that story we were just talking about, where the origin stuff gets revealed, and I mean it's not because of that, but it's kind of like this melancholy that kind of settles into Cobra Commander, and it kind of, he loses some of his steam with his following, his troops, his fanatics. So you have Fred taking one side, you have Serpentor taking another side, and everyone thinks Cobra Commander. Everybody thinks that Fred is Cobra Commander, so it's basically Cobra Commander and Serpentor. The best part about the story, though, and my favorite moment in the entire story, is when Destro gets involved. And you see Destro has always kind of just been working for Cobra, but you see him later on in this storyline, in this specific story, you see him, there's that armored Cobra Commander look there on the front there, but you see Destro switch over to this gold armor, and he has his whole own corps, which is obviously is a toy tie-in thing, but it's the Iron Grenadiers. Right. And they come storming up like a beach landing. And all of a sudden, it's not just, 2 factions of Cobra, but basically 3 factions of Cobra versus each other. Destro's mission is really just to rescue the Baroness, who's been taken captive by Serpentor, which this is one of my all-time favorite covers. Speaking to that right there, Serpentor having Baroness strapped to the front of his hiss, which is just amazing. Just like the iconography of that. Yeah, so you see Destro kind of ride to the rescue, and that's around the time that the Joes fully get involved in the conflict too, because their aircraft carrier has been off the coast, and they're like, okay, this is now a shooting war, and they start sending in actual troops. It's just awesome because it's a real fight. It's a real fight between all these different factions. It has a kind of a fun twist ending that I won't spoil for people that want to go read it now.
Is that the one we're talking about, the Zartan? Is that where that happens?
So Zartan kills Serpentor. This way. Yeah.
In that story arc?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All you ever see, I love the artwork for that, because the last thing you see is the arrow just before it's right next to his eye.
Yeah. And then there's like a shot of him slumped over or something like that after that.
I think it's a silhouette of him like arching back with the arrow.
Oh, it's graphic.
Yeah.
Like there's I want to say there's like an onomatopoeia, like a thump or something like that too.
Yeah.
That's all from memory. It's gonna be so funny when I look it up later and it's totally different.
We're gonna have to, well, rereading it would be really fun. I think.
Yeah, that'd be a good issue for a reread.
Yeah. Well, we got to start from the beginning.
That's true. 75. That's a lot of episodes.
No, well, we'll get there.
We'd only be halfway done then too. But hey, I love it. I love G.I. Joe. So that's kind of, I'll just kind of end on that from my side. Love that storyline.
Yeah, so that is a great. I had that down as, Cobra Island assassinations by Zartan, the whole Arashikage clan stuff, and then like, not in my stuff that I pulled, but characters that I thought were lame that later on turned out to be like really sinister, like Dr. Mindbender.
Yeah,
and the whole thing where weird Baroness starts turning out to be a good guy, and Mindbender keeps brainwashing her to be a bad guy.
Yeah. Which is why I love that she joined G.I. Joe in the new series, which is kind of cool.
This is a great issue, number 31.
Yep.
It is Destro and Firefly, and I believe Scrap Iron find out the location of Snake Eyes' cabin up in the woods, where he and Timber are, and they go to kill Snake Eyes. And it's just like this. It's almost like a Home Alone. They are not
a deadly ninja.
They are not equipped to be out in the woods, like almost like the Pacific Northwest. And it's just hilarious stuff where they're being chased by a bear, they get treed by the bear. Firefly throws a detonator packer on the bear's neck, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, it blows the bear up, but that makes the tree fall over and slide down the hill and off a cliff into the water. Then they're going down the rapids. It's just hilarious.
It's so good. It's so good. I love that one. It's a great like single issue story too. Like it did that really well.
Right.
So this is the next one you have on your list. I love this issue too. This is a great one. You got Joe 34.
You got
also one of the things I love about it is it's the first cover appearance of Lady J. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I mean it's Mike Zeck cover, right?
Yep. And John Beatty.
Yeah. So you got you got Ace taking Lady J up to train her on how to fly a Sky Striker, and then they end up happening to run into Wild Weasel taking the Baroness up to try to train her on how to fly the new Cobra Rattler. And
one of the best vehicles of all time.
It's just this amazing aerial combat. They're talking about all these different technical ways of flying the planes and getting, losing the missiles and
they're doing like Heimelman maneuvers and stuff. And
just, they throw everything they have at each other. And at the end, it's just like their cockpits are shredded. They're flying with the wind in their hair, and they salute each other as they fly by because they have no more weapons.
It's a cool ending.
Yes, it's a really, really good issue.
Another really great like single issue story too. That's
Yeah.
worth pointing out.
Yeah.
I know you have a couple more. I'm a little up on time, and we do want to get to the community art. Is it cool if we transition to that, or do you want to go over your other ones real
You
fast?
just pop the covers up and show them. I can
Okay.
just,
Yeah.
then we can just say recommend this issue, recommend that issue. That's fine.
Just want to make sure that was cool with you. So here's your next issue was G.I. Joe. Is that 46?
The Cobra Island, but you Storm Shadow becoming a good guy. And well, no spoilers. I don't want to spoil it for everybody if we're going to do a read through. Stuff happens.
It's gonna give me that junk.
It is just not helping you.
Here, I don't think there's any scandalous here. I can just show this. Will this work? Nope. All right. It's the G.I. Joe Yearbook 2.
Which is the October Guard. Amazing artwork by Michael Golden. Love that issue. So highly recommend. Just the artwork is amazing. And Johnny talking about the Nom, Michael Golden, same artist.
Yeah, there you go. I found that at an antique store not that long ago. I was pretty excited to find that.
It's a good book. Good book. I think the reason they didn't tie the Joes into the Nom was because they wanted the Nom to be more realistic. There were people who were really upset later on that they put the Punisher in the Nom. So
it's actually part of the origin of the Punisher logo, by the way. If you're ever curious to kind of read some of the deep origin of the Punisher, those Nom issues are pretty good for that.
Yeah, great Michael Golden cover on that issue. The back cover is amazing too. But
is it its own art? It's not wraparound, right?
Yeah, it's its own piece of art. Yeah.
Okay. Does it have a big American flag on the back too?
I don't think so. I think the back, or maybe I'm thinking of the Yearbook 1 back cover.
Okay.
It's got all the Cobras on the back cover.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but that G.I. Joe Yearbook, amazing artwork. Very McFarlane-esque in his exaggeration of movement and action, and just an amazing issue. The vehicles, I was the way he conveyed movement in that issue blew me away.
Yeah, he's a good artist.
He's a good artist.
He's a good artist.
Listen to talk to, but he's a good artist.
Good artist. I'll just keep saying it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, let's move on to art. I guess let's do that, huh?
Yeah. So I didn't mean to rush you there at the end.
No. I didn't know how many books to pull. So,
well, we just got to talking to some great stories that hopefully people enjoy, especially on the rewind. Speaking of great things, how about some great community art? Starting with, by the way, if you want to be a community art submission, all you got to do is send your art in to Big B or myself. We'll feature one of your pieces a week. You can do that every week that we have a show. We'll be more than happy to feature some art. This is from Actual Dracula, current one of the current favorites,
right,
for the competition this year, and this is going to be one of his entries for next year. Hey, so there you go, or for this year, I should say.
Cool Hellboy piece. I love the texturing on the hand.
I'm always impressed when people do the whole pile of bodies, and they really, that's not phoned in at all. He actually drew the detail for all of them,
right?
So that's really cool.
Very nice.
Great work there. Next up we have we got a dark horse here. We got some art from this up and coming artist named Big Me McFly. You killed it on this. When I saw the reel come out for this, I didn't know it was your art at first because I wasn't really paying attention. I just saw the art, like, oh, this is awesome. Oh, it's Big Me.
So this was a piece that our friend Dr. Plagueis won on my membership drive, and so we're giving away a piece of art every month for that as well. You get to pick a character, whoever wins the piece, and he wanted Usagi, and I took all the stuff down to ship to Travis, and I forgot that I had to have a piece of artwork, so I drew this piece of artwork on the fly at Travis's house.
Damn, dude. Wow, that's even more impressive.
So that is very much inspired by the Daredevil cover by Frank
Yeah.
Miller. I need to give Frank Miller his credit. Daredevil's holding size, I think, not swords, but
Yeah. Is
changed
that
changed a lot of the pose, but
Death of Stick? Is that issue or something like that? Something like that. I can't remember.
I don't
First
remember
appearance
exactly
Stick.
what happens in that issue.
Yeah.
But it's a great cover. It's a yellow cover.
Yeah.
Daredevil arrows flying all over the place. So
very cool.
Yeah.
You nailed it, dude.
Came out pretty nice.
You do the Darkwing Duck you did. You do a really good job with like the anthropomorphic characters. You do a damn good job with that, dude.
Oh, thanks.
Love it. This is from CJ Design, bringing in some Red Sonja love.
I love the background on that. That's amazing.
Yeah, like it gets really fine detail, like in the bridge,
the
and
bridge,
the castle,
and the water, and the grass, and everything there. Really, really nice.
Very nice finishes, finishing details on all that.
And then the blood dripping off the sword.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Very neat.
Yeah.
Good job, CJ Design. This is a piece from Cody Evans. Cody Evans coming in with some Space Ghost love. I can never remember this character's name because I wasn't a huge Space Ghost guy, but it starts with a Z, right?
Brack, isn't it? Brack?
Brack. Not Zrak.
Oh,
Brack, yeah.
No, that's okay. Brack is the guy that's in the red and blue, right? And that's Zorak. I think
okay. Right. I would have believed either one. So
yeah,
I totally recognize the character. I just don't know the name. Sorry.
I'm sure Jay will get
it. That's very cool. Very well done. Technical, animation stuff. It always impresses me when people get pretty close to the original animation style.
Yeah.
This comes in from Comics Limited. So the background's probably a little similar. Hey, there we go. Zrak. Good job. Doing a little Venomized Storm action here. Very awesome.
Yeah.
Did he paint that? Is that what the finish is on that, or
multimedia? I think it's watercolor ink, and then ink wash, and pen and ink. Just multimedia.
Very cool. The combination is very cool. I like the kind of watercolor, I guess, look of the background too, kind of where it hits the edges and the lighting. That's really neat.
Yeah. I think it came out really nice.
Yeah. Good job. Elliot Wright brings an absolute banging Joker in. That's awesome.
That is super cool.
Kind of zoom in a little bit for that. That's cool.
Yeah.
He well done.
Super talented.
Yeah. I have a feeling that some people who exited early rounds this year are bringing their A game this year.
Bringing the heat.
As another on the short list of people that are still in it this year, Norin Rad.
Yeah.
With some Miles action.
Very, very cool.
Good job. Yeah. I love the shadowing.
And then the texturing of the costume too. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's almost like, I don't know what the word for that. It's not dippled, but stippled or whatever.
Pointillism?
Oh, that's it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You did a really good job on that.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Hey,
Roscoe,
you wanted some more Something is Killing the Children.
and another person who's still in it this year for the current competition. And this will be in one of his awesome entries for 2025. I love the color of the blood. The goo.
It looks like she's been like cutting like birthday cake or something.
Yeah. All right, kids, cupcakes are ready. Love it.
That's cool.
Got one more here, and this was Eric, aka Side Quest Comics.
Yeah, like
very nice.
He had seen some of my artwork and some of the stuff that we'd been showing on the show, and he was very inspired to start drawing again. And he asked me what I thought of his artwork and sent me a few pieces, and I was like, "Oh, wow,
it's cool."
Yeah.
Is that an existing character or an original design? Do you know?
I don't know. It is, it's in that style of what's that 80s artist? I can't think of his name.
I know the style. I don't know the artist.
used to see those like at that you go to the barber shop and everything. Those would be hanging. Those artwork would be hanging up on the walls there,
or even just like wall art. Like if I saw in people's houses, like in the early 90s. Stuff,
or Duran cover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But
there's a couple music videos that did that too.
Right. But yeah, just a beautiful piece.
Very cool. If it is an original character, I'm curious to see if he has any more. Like, because I'd love to see like this weapon looks pretty badass and stuff.
Right.
Or I mean, even if it isn't, I'd love to know who it is, even if it isn't original, just because I can check out more of it.
Yeah. But, he has a bunch of other. He sent me like 7 or 8 pieces from his portfolio. So we'll be seeing some more of his stuff in the next few weeks.
I can't wait. Man, it was a really great week for submissions. I'd love to see it. Some really solid pieces, a nice, diverse range of styles and characters and stuff like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, no, there was some beautiful artwork by all the people. So thank you to everyone who submitted artwork.
Absolutely. We love to see it. We love to share it. It's not primarily a contest. Like, I guess you could call it more of like a, just kind of a community event in some ways, but we just love to see it.
We just want to encourage everyone to draw. That's really what we're saying. And like, pick up your pencil and put it on the paper.
I need to do some sketching while I check out some shows or something like that, and kind of just lose myself in some drawing. That'd be nice. And you guys are inspiring me to pick up my stylus.
There you go.
And with that note, if you're watching the rewind, please leave us comments. If you're going to stick around and watch over on the EXP, which we're also streaming on, I do want to point out that tomorrow, the final show that comes on Tuesday nights, most Tuesday nights, is Kicking It with Henri. I mentioned that earlier because that is in the time slot, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, that'd be 7 Pacific. So go ahead and check out that show. Henri Compin, awesome dude. Also like a claim sale style format show. One I've personally purchased from before. Honest Henri, as they call him. Cool guy. Definitely go check out his show tomorrow night on the EXP. And while you're checking out the links in the description, like the EXP's link, you can check out the link for Big B McFly, the comic book guy, me, Bronze Age Nerd. You can go sub up to all those channels. We'd love to see you on all of them, checking out all the content. And until next week, which we have a topic for next week already. The topic will be about significant others and what they think of your comic book collecting or your collecting in general. Kind of a fun topic. I think we're going to have a good time talking about that as well. So that'll be next week, as well as all community news and comic book news and community art, all that kind of stuff. But until then, anything you wanted to promote for this week, Big B?
No, just keep an eye out for. I have a new thing I'm doing called Bite-Sized Comic Con, which is gonna be just like little 5-minute to 3-minute videos from different Comic Con people looking at their portfolios or artwork or interviews. So keep an eye out for those.
I'll stay tuned because I am subscribed and I've rung that bell over on Big B's channel. So make sure you go and do that as well. Until then, keep it classy, everybody. We'll see you next Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific for Best Coast Comics. Have a great night.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.